everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Steph. Today's video is another tag video. If you see by the title, it is the mid-year book freak out tag. That is a very long name, but yeah, I'm really excited for it. There's 13 questions in this tag. I'm going to be trying to answer all of them to the best of my abilities. Some of these questions I don't have answers for yet because I'm just like, oh, like which book am I gonna pick for that question. I'm really excited for this. I've seen everybody doing this. It's a trend right now, obviously, because we're getting into the mid-year. 6 months has passed. We're halfway through 2022, which is totally crazy, but I am super excited to start talking about all of the books that I have read and go along with all of these questions. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so if anybody would like to follow along, create their own video, or even answer the questions in the comment section, that would be awesome. I will leave all of the questions in my description box so that way you can follow along with this tag as well. The first question in this tag is the best book you've read so far. Let me see if I have the book right here. I do. So far this year, my favorite book, which is actually a book I've read recently, and you will see it in my June wrap-up video, is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I was really excited for this book. If you hadn't seen in some of the videos I was talking about, I was really excited to read this. I was knowing that I was going to really like it, but I didn't know I was going to love it as much as I did. Sam and Persephone's story is just so sweet, so wholesome. You get past and present, second chance romance. They're best friends, childhood best friends to lovers, and it is just this sweet book of these two friends hanging out, spending the summers together, and then realizing their feelings for each other. Obviously something tears them apart. It's a second chance, and so many years later they get brought back together to try and resolve the issues, and it is just the most cutest romance. I loved it so much. I've talked about this in my other videos, but if you mix Love in Other Words and The Summer I Turned Pretty together, you get this book by Carly Fortune. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend this. I also have a reading vlog on reading this book. I did the reading vlog not knowing how much I was going to love this book, but yes, definitely my favorite book I've read so far this year. Okay, so the second question is the best sequel you've read so far this year. I feel like I've only read one sequel, and that is this book right here. Just like pulling them off my shelf as I go. Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I actually read the first one and the second one like back to back, but definitely loved this one more than the first one. I rated them both 5 stars, but there's just something about Hannah and Fox's story that I loved so much more than the first one. Yeah, it was very spicy, very good, and I just loved how this was like kind of like a slow burn, I feel, whereas the first one things kind of happened really quickly, whereas this one here, it takes a little time for the relationship to develop, for them to really see their true feelings for one another, and I absolutely loved this book. Super cute, small town romance, kind of like forced proximity as well, which I really enjoyed in this book, and yeah, overall it was just really amazing. Okay, so the third question is new releases that you haven't read yet but want to. I had to Google some because there is a lot of books that I have on my TBR, but I didn't realize how many of them have been released this year. And so just a few that I have really wanted to read but haven't got a chance to yet is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, Dating Dr. Dill. I don't remember the author of that one, but I've seen it everywhere and I really want to read it. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and there was one more that I really wanted to read. Oh, The Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy, which I actually have right here. Yeah, right here, and I really want to read that one. I did buy it a little while ago, I just haven't had a chance to. So yeah, those are a few of the books that I really want to read. most anticipated releases for the second half of the year is question number 4. Of course, the first thing I'm going to say, because my favorite author, if you watched me, It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm super excited for that. I read this and It Ends With Us this year, at like the very beginning of this year, and absolutely loved it. I cannot wait for the next release. For the second book is just going to be so amazing. It's Lily and Atlas's story, and if you haven't read It Ends With Us, you definitely should, because I believe it comes out October 16th is the new release for It Starts With Us. Definitely excited for that one. That is at the top of my list of the new books that I really want to read for the next half of the year, as well as Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I've also mentioned this in another video. Really loved The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and I'm really excited to read that release as well. Number 5 is The Biggest Disappointment. If you've seen my other videos and my wrap-up videos, you will not see the books that I don't love, because I don't want to bash people. I don't want to hate on books that other people love, and I also don't want to hate on authors or anything. So I'm just gonna say a book that I didn't absolutely love. I definitely want to give this book another chance, but it did not hit the mark for me. I don't know if it kind of put me in a reading slump. And I think the main reason why I didn't love it was because it was third person, and I'm not a big fan of third person. When it's done really well, I can enjoy it, but if a book is third person, chances are I'm not going to pick it up, and I didn't know that going into this book. And that is this book right here, if I can pull it off my shelf. That is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, and nothing against these authors, because I have loved a lot of their books. I read The Unhoneymooners, I read Love in Other Words. I have a couple other books on my shelf that I can't wait to get to that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love, but just the fact that this one was in third person, I was just having such a hard time getting into it. I felt like I wasn't cluing in when it was bouncing back and forth between the people that were talking, because I wasn't totally invested in the characters. Therefore I was like, who's speaking right now? And the fact that it was in third person, I couldn't get over. I definitely want to try and reread it, because I absolutely love the concept of this book. If you didn't know what it's about, it's basically this guy, he creates this like dating app that is based on your DNA, and the main character in this book doesn't really get along with this guy, but she takes the quiz anyways and finds out she is a like 97 or 98% match, something like that, with the guy who created the app itself and the DNA testing. So it's a fake dating book, because they want him and her to fake date, to basically just bring some hype around the dating app, and that, you know, they really can come like a true love story out of it. And yeah, I don't know, I really want to try and read it again. I don't want to say anything bad about it. I DNF'd this at like, I want to say like 35%. I just kept going back and trying to read it, and I just was like, I don't know, I'm not loving it. If it gets better, like, somebody convince me down in the comments to take this a second chance at this, because I definitely want to. It's just been very daunting for me, because I don't want to be back in a reading slump again. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this book. I'm not hating on it or anything. It just wasn't for me. I know a lot of people absolutely loved it. Okay, the next question, which is question number 6, is the biggest surprise. And for this one is a book I actually just read recently, and that is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I loved this book. Can we just talk about how beautiful the cover is of this book? I absolutely love it. There will be a reading vlog coming soon, or might have already been posted. I'm not too sure yet. I have a few videos pre-filmed, and I'm not sure which ones I want to upload first, but I definitely have a reading vlog coming on this book. And I think the biggest surprise for this is, I believe this is YA. And the big thing about this was the fact that they all go to Martha's Vineyard. I had to remember what it was. I only read this like a couple of books ago. They went to Martha's Vineyard and it's for her cousin's wedding. Our main character, her sister has passed away, and basically she's just dealing with the grief and all that comes with losing a sister. She goes to Martha's Vineyard for, like I said, for her cousin's wedding, and they decide to play this game of assassin where they shoot each other with water guns. Now, I bought this book solely for the romance and the fact that it was super hyped up. I think this one came out like last year or the year before. I know everybody was reading it last summer. I just got to it this summer. But the thing is with this one is I didn't think I would love the whole like water gun game of assassin sort of thing. I thought it would just be there for the romance, but I absolutely loved the wholesomeness of this book. This is so fun, this family dynamic, everybody coming together. It just reminded me of my family and just how big my family is, and I miss those big gatherings. Obviously because of COVID, not a lot of that stuff has been happening, and hopefully we'll get back to some of that soon. But just the family dynamic in this book and how much fun it was kind of put you on the edge of your seat, like, oh no, who's gonna be, you know, put out of the game next, who's gonna win. I loved that part almost more than I loved the romance, and that's really saying something because I am a romance reader. I do not read anything but romance, but I absolutely loved this book, and it was definitely one of the biggest surprises so far this year. Okay, so the next question, number 7, is favorite new author. Could be a debut or new to you author. I'm going to go with a debut novel from a fellow Canadian, and that is Carly Fortune. This book is based in Toronto, and I absolutely loved that because it's very relatable. I used to live near Toronto, so I did love that aspect of the book, but this is about the author herself, and I absolutely loved this book. I really hope she comes out with something new soon. I really enjoyed her writing style, and this book was just so sweet and so wholesome. Like I said, it's one of my favorites, my favorite book I've read so far this year, and I can't wait for something new to come out from this author. I could say Colleen Hoover because she is my favorite, but she is not a new to me author. I had read her last year as well, so I wanted to include somebody else who isn't Colleen Hoover, so definitely Carly Fortune. Is your newest fictional crush? It's weird because I feel like I don't like pick a book where I'm like, oh, I love that guy, or you know what I mean, like I have a hard time deciding. I think for the fact that this one here, I loved Fox. I really loved him. I felt like he was kind of like this bad boy, and she kind of like broke his shell. I really loved him. I also loved Sam because he was just super sweet to Persephone. I really loved their love story. So maybe those two. There was also another book I read recently, The Infinity Between Us, and I can't remember the name of the guy in that book, but I absolutely loved his character, so definitely him as well. Alrighty, the next question is number 9, newest favorite character. I actually had to look up her name because I couldn't remember, and that is Sophie from Collided by Lauren Asher. I read that one, you know, pretty recently, and I don't know, there was something about Sophie. She was just like this very independent woman. She was this artist, and I felt like I just really like resonated with her for, you know, the art aspects of it, as well as the fact that she kind of just went and followed her dreams. She told her dad how she felt like, I don't want to be doing this, I want to be pursuing art, I want to, you know, she basically just like really stuck up for herself and just really went for what she wanted. And I also just loved her relationship in that book as well. So I think I just really loved her character the most. I have an answer for number 10, and that is a book that made you cry. I have not read a book this year that has made me cry. I don't cry very easily when I read books. The only book I can think of that made me cry, which I didn't read this year, so I can't include it, but is A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I absolutely sobbed reading that book. and also Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, but I did not read those this year, so they do not count. So we're gonna move on from that question because I did not have one that made me cry so far this year, but I do have a couple books lined up that I'm reading. Actually, I think it might be the next 2 books that I'm reading, if not, you know, more that I'm reading this year that I know are going to pull at my heartstrings and possibly make me cry. So maybe I'll have some books to talk about at the end of the year that made me cry, but so far haven't read anything like that. Number 11, a book that made you happy. I'm gonna have to say this one here. I just loved the family dynamic of it. I just missed like getting into these like big family gatherings and having so much fun, seeing all your cousins, all that kind of stuff, and I felt like I got that family dynamic from this book, so it made me like super happy. I loved that whole aspect. Number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I feel like I'm gonna have to say this book again. Like, look how beautiful this cover is. I absolutely love the pink and the blue. I think everybody's answer for this question is going to be different because everybody loves different colors and different things attract them. But I mean, this book cover, absolutely beautiful. Also, another one I've mentioned recently in videos is this book right here. I just love the cover of this book. Like, it's so gorgeous. So I'm definitely going to pick these 2 books. Read this one, have not read this one, but I absolutely love the covers of these books. Alrighty, and number 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? There's so many books that I want to get done by the end of this year. Definitely, I guess the ones that I'm really excited for, the new releases, are definitely high up on my list. To think of a couple that maybe are on my bookshelf, I definitely want to read some of my Jasmine Guillory books because I have not read those. I definitely want to read this, the series that I have. It's like, I can't remember the name of the series, something summer. I talked about it in one of my recent videos. Really want to get to that. This book here, Pack Up the Moon, I'm going to be reading this recently. Can't wait to read that. Definitely want to read that by the end of the year, as well as The Roughest Draft, as well as The Bride Test. Really want to get to that one. Trying to think of some other books. The Good Girl Complex, really want to read that one. Yeah, I'm naming off a lot of books, and maybe I should stop because if I don't get to all of them, I'm going to be looking back on this video and saying, oh, Stephanie, you said you wanted to read that book and you didn't. So yeah, those are just a few. There's many more that are on my list. Don't know how many I'll get to this year, but as new releases come out, new things come on my TBR. Sometimes some of these books get put to the back burner, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm putting these books in this video. Stephanie, you need to get to these books. This is just a mental reminder, physical reminder that these are the books I definitely want to read this year. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, give it a like, consider subscribing to my channel. I post quite often. I'm trying to set myself up for a schedule of different days of the week that I want to be posting. I definitely want to do at least 1 upload a week. Right now I'm kind of just posting when I feel like it, which is actually quite often. I've been posting like every 2 or 3 days, but I want to have some scheduled uploading so I can give you guys, oh, come watch on Wednesdays at this time or whatever it may be. I'm not sure yet, but right now I've just been putting out content when I have been making it, I guess. I have quite a few videos on my channel right now that are uploaded but are private for when I'm ready to upload them to the channel. So I have been doing a lot of pre-filming. There is definitely some more haul videos coming, so definitely subscribe to see those because I know a lot of people love haul videos. I did upload one recently. But yeah, that is the end of the video, so thank you so much for watching and happy reading. Bye!